It's Monday on Your View. Welcome to the show. I am Murayo Afolabi Brown. As always, I have the ladies with me. Hello, and Elijah, Anima, Akasha, and Zubiri. How are you? How was your weekend?
Very fine. So, sorry, it was Business shop.
Yeah, yes. Our banter is all about business today.
And I quickly had to stop over at the 50th birthday of one of my matrons that took care of me when I was on bed rest in 2016.
Wow.
Mrs. Esther Modupe Akirili. She's married to a reverend, so you know the Yayad principle. So happy birthday, Yayad. I came late. I didn't like that. I really wanted to show up for her. That woman made my stay blissful.
Wow.
Most of the nurses just did their jobs, but she had night-time sessions mentoring me, calming me and saying, this will work. You have to stay here, you know, checking on me emotionally every time. And it mattered a lot to me.
Fantastic.
Happy birthday, ma. Thank you. God bless you so much.
Happy birthday. How are you doing, Mariam?
Fine, thank you.
Can I ask you how was your weekend?
We know. It was all about business shop opening.
Yes.
We had so much fun. I mean, you know, we're so proud. We're just so proud of VC. I mean, she just keeps going forward all the time. One thing I've always said to BC that I admire about her is she's never too afraid to fail, you know. And for many of us, that's the fear that stops us from even achieving anything. But she goes, if it works, it works. If it doesn't, we move again. So well done, sis, and I wish you many more successes.
I love your brooch, but it's not showing you. We can't see
Oh,
it.
thank you.
Love it. Fish?
Yes, it's
You
beautiful.
I love it. How you doing? Congratulations. Importer, exporter. There's nothing you cannot do. And you're doing it well, just like Mariam said. Congratulations again.
Thank you. I was so happy. The love was just so much.
Yeah.
The lady showed up for
Yeah.
me.
Even your producer showed up.
My producer showed up.
Your director showed up.
Everybody.
The love plenty.
Yeah, the love was ready. So I just want to say thank you. I've been posting pictures, trying to remember, and just say thank you to people who.
I yabbed that I didn't come.
Yeah, no.
Obviously, because she didn't post my picture, so I didn't come.
see the picture.
I said, yeah, I'm sorry I did not come to your event because I didn't see my picture on your page.
But I'm happy. We are open now for business.
Yes,
no
you
more
are.
excuses. You can either shop online or walk into a physical shop. I got you.
Yeah.
And I bought a lovely dress.
Yeah, thank you.
I love when Brown saw me in that dress. I can't get. We just can't.
I've already worn that
for
dress.
it. I'm getting just give me 2 more.
No problem.
Of different colors.
I got
that dress
you.
is
I got
beautiful.
you.
It looks so
In
good.
case
on
you
me.
don't know.
You myself shop for her best friend.
Yeah, no, because most of the things were for...
That dress.
You bring out all your
No, that dress. Mariam, if you see me in that dress,
I need to see
oh,
it.
you gotta see me. I'm gonna wear it tomorrow.
Okay.
That dress
worn
is
this
the
dress
bomb.
Okay.
Everybody look out for this dress, Mariah.
I'm wearing it tomorrow.
Has to be for
I
Mr.
can't. I didn't want to wait till Monday
What's
morning.
this dress?
Hey, I don't know. I picked it up yesterday.
How can you have that kind of dress I don't know first?
If I wore that dress,
So when you come back for your
It's Monday. Let's wear our seriousness back. Good morning, ladies. Let's be serious.
How was your
Monday.
parties? You went for parties?
Oh yes, there was Professor
Agnes.
Father in heaven. I love
Agnes.
the party was awesome.
Okay.
Awesome. I love the party. Good music. Video Me Alaobe was there. Lao Lugbenjo was there. Back to back. The DJ took it off. In fact,
amazing.
it was interesting. You know, when they finished all the party, they did closing prayer. MC said, because it was an 80th birthday, MC said, all the mom, it was 60 above, 70 above, please, it's time for you to start going home. Please we're about to start the after party because anything you see here, you're not supposed to see.
You want to take it.
You don't want to go to cross it to the other side. Please, and they all stood up and left. And then the party started.
Because they've done it themselves before, so they know it's your turn.
It was a lot of fun. I just can't remember her name. And it was Professor Femi's friend's mom. Yeah, okay. So I had a great time.
It looked amazing when
Mojola, Professor Mojola. Okay. Professor Mojola, yes, that's her. Let's go on a quick break. Then we return. Look at the front pages of the papers. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned.
We're going to start with the Punch, with the Nation. Recruitment. Police turned down over 190,000 applicants. Former Army Chief Chris Ali dies at 79. Danjuma donates $1.36 million to University of Ibadan. State government open security vote accounts with CBN. Shaibu dares Obaseki joins race for governor. Twist in Osun government, judiciary clash. OAUTH admin director suspended over job racketeering. Appeal court sacks another governor. And Navy destroys 5,000 barrels of crude in Ondo. Okay, which story are we starting with?
Just out the major headline.
Major headline.
So, according to the Police Service Commission, about 190,741 of the 547,777 applicants who applied to join the police force were dropped for failure to meet conditions such as age and inappropriate credentials and inadequate physical fitness. And also the states like Lagos and Bayelsa had, and some Southeast states, had no applicants coming from them at all. So according to the Police Service Commission, former Inspector Solomon Arase, former IG Solomon Arase, before I murder him, had said that these two states had no applicants from them by state of origin and such application, but they had some other states that applied and they had to drop about 190,000. I'm looking at the story open to meet character credentials of these people, because sometimes you find former criminals in the police service and then they come in and corrupt the police itself. But they said, this was what happened. According to them, Kaduna had about 40,000. They topped the list. Anambra had about 1,664 applicants. They were the lowest. Adamawa had 36,000 applicants. Borno had 32,000 plus applicants. Benue 31, Katsina 30, and across like that. But Lagos, nobody at all. Bayelsa, none at all. And some southeastern states too had none at all.
Okay, let me take T.Y. Danjuma Foundation. So, former Defense Minister, Lieutenant General Theophilus Danjuma donated over $1.3 million to College of Medicine, University of Ibadan, to build a hostel. According to, it was donated by the T.Y. Danjuma Foundation and was represented by his wife, Senator Daisy Danjuma, who was accompanied by her sisters to the school. The sum it will be used to build the Block D of the hostel. It's said to be the largest donation so far by any individual towards project. We've always said on this table that we need more of our philanthropists, rich people in Nigeria, to donate to the universities, especially to support education. So he is supporting to build this block for the hostel. So the provost, Professor Olayinka Omigbodu, announced the donation during the briefing by the College of Medicine, University of Lagos in Ibadan. And I'm pretty excited about this donation because that will be to help about 664 students. According to the building is designed to house 664 students of the college. Somebody was Sheon went to OU recently, and she was talking about how big, like probably the largest university in the whole of Africa, or maybe Sub-Saharan Africa.
And don't say that.
Well, they say that.
ABU Zaria, please.
They say, according to what they said, it's probably one of the biggest. One of the biggest. So, but
the Southwest.
It has dilapidated somewhere. So we need more people, more donations like this for OU, especially those big guys, Unilag, the UIs, the OU. Those are the pride of and ABU Zaria.
Thank you.
These are the Nigerian pride. And Unsuka, University of Nigerian Schools.
And they watch all of them dilapidate.
We need more philanthropy.
Hostels are they're like dump sites right now.
So we need more.
All across federal universities, it is a site.
Very efficient VCs, because I would never forget during my time at the university, the VC at the time was so amazing. Everyone talked about his work. He upgraded the facade and everything about ABU, So sometimes we need to also put people that understand why they are there.
Capacity.
I will take the story. Governors, they say henceforth withdraw their security votes from the CBN. The development followed an agreement that they had between 36 governors and the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit. So this agreement now is mandating all the state governments to open dedicated accounts for governor security votes with the CBN. So before this agreement, our governors would normally would get their monthly subventions from FAC, and this would go into commercial banks. But now it's straight with the CBN, and if they have any reason to withdraw from it, straight from the CBN. This will also allow NFIU to monitor expenditure.
That's good.
So this seems like a very good way to also make sure that
now the CBN is turning to a bank instead of a policy.
But for this case,
policy.
I understand that.
I understand
that, but this is also a way to keep an eye on where monies are going. We've heard how security votes have been used for burial before. So now.
Okay. They will still be used for burial.
Any additional point? Let's move on now to the Punch. APC-PDP clash as appeal court sacks third opposition governor. Israel, Hamas, US, UN condemn school attack, deaths hit 14,000. Panel indicts OAUTH ex-CMD of massive job racketeering. Adeleke backtracks on acting CJ APC knocks governor. Inflation jumps 24 times in 25 months, says report. Service extension, FGO 600 teachers, 23 months arrears. And I don't miss presidency much, says Buhari. Oh, nice story.
Yeah, so I think I'll take the Punch investigation. So their investigation has revealed that about 600 teachers in the Federal Civil Service, precisely under the Federal Ministry of Education and the Federal Ministry of Defense, who benefited from the Federal Government Service Elongation Package for teachers, are currently being owed 23-month salaries. And, the Punch report says the service elongation for the teachers was introduced by the administration of the former president, President Muhammadu Buhari. And the beneficiary teachers are in some of the nation's unity schools, schools owned by the military and paramilitary. Now, remember that January 2021, the Federal Executive Council approved the bill that wanted to increase the retirement of age and the service years of the teachers. And the Minister of Education, Adamu, was the one who explained that the bill was to give legal backing for the approval of the new retirement age of 65 years from 60 years and, extend the period of service from 35 years to 40 years. Now, the bill, according to him, was to also introduce bursary awards, special rural allowances, and other items that would encourage brilliant Nigerians to take up teaching, more like to bring them into the teaching profession. But they said they had, in April 2022, Buhari signed the harmonized bill into the law, backdating the implementation to January 2022. But investigations are now showing that the Federal Ministry of Education, in a memo dated January 26, told the teachers in the unity schools not to retire, but to continue in service ahead of the presidential assent by the president. So far, so good. They've not retired, but they have not been paid, running into 23 months, and they're asking why this is happening. Yes. So we need to know, should they be allowed, is the bill now law, should they be allowed to retire at 60 or wait till 65 years? They also mentioned that even though that they're going to be extending it to 65 years, they must carry out medical exam to be sure that the teachers are fit to continue till 65 years, but they need to get paid.
Okay, let's take another story in Punch.
Let's take the Adeleke story.
Go ahead.
So, I took the story on Friday that Governor Ademola Adeleke of Osun State had suspended the Chief Judge of Osun State because of the House had recommended that the Chief Judge be suspended as to step aside while she was being investigated. And this was announced by one of his closest media aide. But he came back to us through the Commissioner of Information to say that he did not ask that the an acting chief judge be sworn in by his deputy governor. Neither did he state that there was going to be an acting chief judge, that he simply wrote a letter of recommendation to the Chief Justice of Nigeria to appoint the next in line, recommending the appointment of the next most senior judge in Osun State, and informing him of the suspension of the chief judge of Osun State pending an investigation. So the back and forth shall lead to both parties, APC and PDP,
All right, let's go on a quick break. When we come back, we continue with our review. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. We're still reviewing Punch.
I have a story. So our former president, Muhammadu Buhari, in his very first interview since he handed over to the present administration, he was talking with NTA, and he was asked, many questions, but they said that this is just a little bit of the interview. If you want to know more, you should wait 10:30 p.m. today. It will be shown But he was asked if there was anything that he missed about, or he misses about, you know, being a president. And he says, I don't think I miss much. And he said that because his best, he realized that for Nigerians, his best was not good enough.
Aww.
And I believe I'm trying my best, but still my best is not good enough. I wonder if I'm going to miss much. I think I'm being harassed, he remarked. So he's feeling quite underappreciated or unappreciated. But I guess we'll hear more. I saw a little clip of it. And, you know, when he was asked, he was like, Miss, and he laughed, you know. He has that kind of dry sense of humor like that. So I'm looking forward to seeing that.
It's not easy to lead this country, you know. Never easy. Let me take, trust me, we're not living our homes or living our, Okay, an investigative panel set up by the Federal Ministry of Health and Social Welfare on Sunday revealed why some health workers at OAU, that's Obafemi Awolowo University Teaching Hospital, were not paid. According to the report, the Chief Medical Director, Dr. Olumuyiwa, that's the former Chief Medical Director, Dr. Olumuyiwa Owoju-Igbe, was involved in overemployment, job management, job racketeering in the hospital without provision of personnel budget. According to them, he had employed over 1,900 staff in the hospital when he was supposed to and there were only 450 vacancies approved by the head of civil service. So they had lamented that they had to resort to begging. Many of the workers at OAUTH had lamented that they resorted to begging to feed their families due to the hardship of non-payment of salaries subjected to them. And this was because this man had some job racketeering that was going on where monies were being siphoned, money to pay salaries were being siphoned. So this was addressed, and the panel said that we understand the difficulties being faced by numerous innocent health workers, but we'll do our best to resolve it equitably. And the investigation was complete. And well, I guess more now that the investigation is complete, they found him to be guilty, and then they'll be probably prosecuted for what he did. Moving on now to the next paper, which is Vanguard. Rumble in judiciary over nomination of justices. Inflation, declining demand triggers 20% fall in food beverage production. 4 years after Mago opens up, says corruption Nigeria's greatest problem. Rex appointment, Sarah budget, others sue Tinubu. Play 2, appeal court sacks Governor Muftwang, declares Goshwe winner. Suspected CJ, confusion as Governor Adeleke reverses self. And instead of the nation, what Tinubu will force us to do, says body judge. Okay?
Plateau State is in the news. So the Court of Appeal sitting in Abuja yesterday nullified the election of the current governor, Governor Caleb Mutfwang of Plateau State. So all in all, they're just saying that he's not the valid governor of Plateau State. And it has to do with the fact that the APC candidate had gone to court. He was not satisfied with the outcome of the election, so he had gone to court, and based on that, the appeal court said that there were some pre-election matters. It seems he had not. They said so. He's a PDP candidate, and they said there's no proper PDP structure or party within the state for them to have, you know, to have the election that he had or the votes that he had. So all the votes that he garnered. So at the time of the election, he got 525,299 votes, while the APC candidate got 481,370. So he's the second person. They said all those votes are wasted because he was not a valid candidate of the PDP. The PDP didn't even have a structure. That's according to the APC. But of course, it seems that the appeal court also agrees. And so they've said the certificate of return should be returned and given to the next candidate. But the governor has said that this is just a minor setback. In fact, it's not a setback. He's still dedicated to taking Plateau State forward, and that they're going to the Supreme Court.
This is just a lesson. Yeah. You know, it happened last term for Zamfara, when parties fail to hold world congresses, and then a court rules that you must do it. Obey court order, because we don't want to get here. It's now seeming like one party is taking back states. Follow the rule.
Yeah.
I don't like
So the Socioeconomic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, Budget and 34 other concerned Nigerians have sued President Bola Ahmed Tinubu over the alleged appointment of some members of the All Progressive Congress APC and allies of high-ranking politicians as new resident electoral commissioners, that's RECs, for the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. The Senate had confirmed the appointment of 7 out of 10 newly appointed RECs for INEC. And they said the alleged APC members appointed as RECs are from Akwa Ibom, Edo, Lagos, and Rivers State. So they are, filing this suit. They filed it last Friday at the Federal High Court in Lagos, and they are seeking an order to set aside the nomination and confirmation and appointment of the alleged APC members as RECs for INEC for being unconstitutional, unlawful, null and void, and of no effect. They quoted the Nigerian Constitution as well, saying that this does not align with what is meant to be. But there's something very important here I would like to read that they said treating INEC as a line department accountable to bureaucratic higher-ups and high-ranking politicians rather than an independent and impartial body of the is antithetical to constitutional and international standards and the notion of rule of law. The use of the word non-partisan means that those to be appointed to conduct credible elections must not be people who openly identify or belong into a political party whose occupation is in politics. So they are saying that there's no date fixed yet for the court, but I think the government needs to look into this. We need to be sure that INEC is non-partisan.
So I have the inflation story, and it's such a heartbreaking one. Manufacturers of food and beverages have reduced their production by 20%, following, of course, declining demand from consumers. And this is largely as a result of rising prices reflected in our food inflation rate, which is 31.52% in October. They said that the fall in demand is because of, low patronage. And they've also had finished goods that they've not been able to sell. Unsold finished goods rose to about 34.03% year on year, from 34.03% to 78.82 billion in 9 months, starting from ending at the 30th of September 2023. This is not encouraging for employment at all. If these manufacturers keep shutting down businesses, people will be jobless. That's the basic truth. They said we should recall that our inflation rate continues to rise by 5.95% to 26.72% in September, continuously increasing. And this is because due to high energy costs, insecurity, and so many other factors that are affecting production businesses. I hope that the trade and investment, or which other ministry is involved in all of this, should be focused and start to give us strategic steps, as the Ministry of Interior had to do, strategic steps to meet and address these issues. We can't have people out of jobs with the economic situation right now. So
the Deputy Governor of Edo State is insisting on running. He's from Edo North, and although the governor had preferred Chaibu, yes, so despite the signals from the governor of Edo State currently, who's insisting on a certain zoning formula for Edo, Chaibu, who is his deputy, is insisting that he's most fit to run because he's been in government with the governor. He added that the incumbent deputy governor is the most prepared to succeed Obaseki. He said, I am not insisting on contesting. The ambition of becoming deputy governor was not mine, but I made myself available. Now, the ambition to be governor is also not mine. I'm just making myself available. Don't forget that the destinies of people are interconnected and interwoven. There is no convention in Edo State where we met to say, this is how the zoning should be. So I should be allowed to do
the best man win.
The point. Nigerians react as more governors lose seats over technicalities. Criminals now disguised as food vendors sell drug cakes, others in schools, says NDLEA. Incessant jailbreaks, almost 4,000 escapees still on the loose, says investigation. Okay, which story?
Okay, so according to the zonal commander, Zone 1 of the NDLEA, which is in Osun State, Joyce Titus Awogui, she said she disclosed during the Drug Abuse Prevention Town Hall meeting with principals of schools in Oshogbo recently that some food vendors go to schools, apply to sell foods, and then they disguise and start to sell drugs. Some of them, mix this in food substances, which they sell, to lace them in cakes and cookies, which they also sell to students. They had trailed one of such packages from Lagos to Osun State and found the vendor who said a parent ordered that Canadian Loud be mixed with cake for their child's birthday.
Did they know? I mean,
They
I don't
arrested.
understand.
They arrested someone who confessed that why she ordered Canadian lard because she had a pre-order from a parent to mix it in cake that she was going to bake
For
for
children.
a child's birthday. You know, and
Okay,
so they were
something
sensitizing
is wrong.
schools to
I can't
start
be
to.
correct. I'm sure that I'm not saying they're right. I'm just saying that.
Okay, maybe she was making it
Yeah,
up.
making it up.
Yes,
Because-
Yes.
But now they have used it to sensitize schools to now be very vigilant about those
You know,
people
schools-
trading within schools.
Okay, we have to run, unfortunately. But
This is scary.
let's talk about scary.
Send my child to school, I eat birthday cake. And
Let's go on a break.
Not the kind of
When we return, we want to the hot topic of today. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So the Lagos State government has vowed to stop illegal dredging operations and flush out operators who have no government permit in the dredging sector from the state. Join us now, excuse me, is Lagos State Commissioner for Waterfront and Infrastructure, Honorable Dayo Bush Alebiosho. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you for having me.
Good to have you. So we've been seeing quite a bit of illegal dredging. In fact, we're used to seeing all this illegal dredging here, left, right, and center. We're not sure which one is illegal and which one is right. So for Nigerians who don't even know what scope of your work is, let's start with that. What exactly is your scope of work and what are you supposed to be doing in your commission so people even know where you fall in the whole scope, the scheme of things in Lagos State?
It's basically, I'm the Commissioner for Waterfront Infrastructure Development. And under the laws of the State Assembly, we have the functions and oversight duties over reclamation, dredging, and things like that. When they are unregulated, they're illegal. When they're regulated, then you know a lot of things, a lot of safety measures, a lot of things that have to be considered. For example, there's what you call the bath survey, sand search, and several other things you do. It affects our lives in different ways. For example, it affects employment. If you take a look at the Gambia, I think they have a population of about 2.1 million people. And with the 2.1 million people they receive about 300,000 foreigners per annum. And of course, the reason why that's limited is because of food security. Why do people visit? They have clean waters. Anywhere you have clean waters, people would always visit. And unfortunately, dredging, indiscriminate dredging, is one of the reasons why we have dirty waters. And of course, that affects the outlook and affects how people choose to come here. I mean, if you spread the 300,000 that visit Gambia on an annual basis over a monthly space, it would work out to be about 20,000 people. So close your eyes and imagine having 20,000 foreigners visiting us on a monthly basis and picture how it would affect employment, even the mama selling boli, the lady selling akara, bread and things like that. They get to experience our culture. These affect it, and of course it keeps them, nobody wants to visit. Another issue that I have seen that's really very serious is take a look at Dubai. Even while there's...
I have to pause for a second, to you. I have to technical issues.
Okay.
Just going to pick up right back.
All right.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. We still have the commissioner with us. Yes, you were saying earlier.
Yeah, I was saying that one of the ones that really scares me, that gives me a lot of concern, is when you look at Dubai, for example, after reclaiming those islands they reclaimed, they ran out of sand. So now Dubai has to, now they go to import sand from Australia, I believe.
Wow.
So you can imagine, I mean, the cost of things at the moment, and should that happen, God forbid. But of course, there's a possibility of that if we do not, if it's not controlled, if it's not stemmed.
Okay.
And
I was going to, sorry, this is just a mini. Why don't you just go to Sahara Desert and just fetch the...
it's a totally different type of sand. It can't be used. When you look at the composition, the shape,
Okay.
you know, it's smooth. It's different from sand from this. I mean, it's the second most sought after natural resource after water.
Wow.
Sand.
Oh yes, it's used in everything. It's used for the elastic in our underwear, toothpaste. Around us, there's sand, you know,
Yes.
Okay.
bridges and so on.
When you say, you know, the possibility of running out or how it affects an environment, I would say dredging is Lagos. Lagos is dredging. I grew up in schooling in Ojo. I would sit at the waterfront and see everybody in the business. In fact, they pass it down to children. How much of it really would affect the environment? How bad can it be? Or, you know, looking into it, will it not deny people employment anyway?
Not at all. We're not saying we won't dredge. We can't dredge. We can't survive without dredging. But we're saying it has to be controlled. If it's not controlled, it becomes a mess. I'll give you an example of how it affects every day our households. For example, what is dredging? It's basically just sucking sand out of water. And on top of the base of water, you know, you have microorganisms, and these microorganisms is food for fish. And of course, every time you disturb it, you mess it up. You mess up their habitat, you mess up their food. So what happens is they go further. And of course, the fishermen have to go further after them. And the further you go, the more tedious it is to get it, the more expensive it is. So fish that's meant to cost on a regular day 500 naira, you end up paying 5,000 naira for. It affects us in every way that we can't even imagine. And when you refer to the ones who use baskets, like their great-grandfathers, their forefathers did that. That's their trade. I believe they should even be protected, you know, just like the native Indians are protected in North America. They're not the problems. The problem are those who dredge indiscriminately at alarming rates. And of course, they reclaim, because the sand dredged is used for two reasons. The first is to reclaim land, which is also done illegally, and it affects the alignment of the states. And the second is they reclaim to stockpile. And those are the guys who you go to when you're building, you tell, oh, supply me a tipper of sand, supply me 10 tons of sand, and things like that.
So my question is, how are they able to carry out such massive, indiscriminate dredging without government awareness?
Well, every community is aware. They see them because some are afraid, some just some are out of members of the community. But of course, there's been several issues. There's been this issue in the past several years with Lagos State, Newer, not just Lagos State, coastal states and Newer. And I think the case is in court at the moment. Well, there was the High Court judgment which went in favor of Newer, and then the appeal court judgment went in favor of Lagos State, saying that states are allowed to regulate their waters. And of course, Newer approached the Supreme Court for interpretation.
Okay.
I think that comes up sometime in January. But regardless, we need to know the amount of sand that's pumped. I'll give you an example. You just talked about when you were in school. How many beaches do we see right now? Because every time you dredge, you're taking out sand.
Yes.
And nature has a way it works. What happens is it compensates for what's been taken out. So nature sends out, in layman's term, it sends out water to reclaim sand. And where's the first place water goes?
Beaches.
That's right. It mops up the sand and brings it in. When all that is done, it leads to even erosion where it affects roads and things like that.
Yeah. So listening to you now, I can hear some of the negative effects of dredging.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't know that before. And I'm wondering, what is government's plan to sensitize the people on the negative effects of dredging and how it affects everyday life so that they can also be like a watchdog for those illegal dredgers around? They can, have conversations with government if they see that people who are not licensed are coming into certain places to dredge.
Oh, well, as the saying goes, the journey of 1,000 miles starts with a step. We've just started that now. We're also reviewing our policies. It's important for us to know the amount of sand that's being dredged. In the past, we gave licenses or permits for dredging. Of course, they could go, but now we're saying, well, no, we need to, when you're licensed, it says, yes, you can dredge, but then we would have to control the quantity you dredge, which means we have to keep an eye on the amount dredged. If you, for example, contact me as a dredging company, what I would do is, by law, I would have to inform the state that Mariah has contacted me to help her dredge, and you would also inform the state saying that I have contacted Dyer Bush Dredging Company to also help you reclaim.
That's a lot of requests coming.
Oh, yes. I mean, we have to
building every single day.
Yeah, we have to do what we have to do. As a matter of fact, there should be licenses from start to finish. After all, there's something called pro forma invoice when it's requested anyway. So this is it's going to be our kind of pro forma invoice, if you know what I mean.
Aside from the issue of dredging, when I said I'm also in charge of waterfronts
infrastructure development. Yes.
So, because when I see our waterfronts, I'm thinking tourism. I'm thinking
Absolutely.
opportunities for people to actually come and enjoy the aquatic splendor.
That's right.
But we don't see that, When we see attempts trying to make it look nice, but what are your plans exactly to improve on our waterfronts, make it more attractive? And I think...
Let me add, especially you sit at some waterfront joints or places and there's plastic and dirt and all around. Yes.
That's why we have a lot of ministries coming together, because I handshake a lot of ministries.
Good.
Like environment. An example is when people apply for reclamation, we make sure that it's not approved, it's not even sent for approval until we get what you call the EIA report, environmental impact assessments. We get TIA, how it affects traffic impact assessment, drainage, we make drainage requests of them. And until we get the go-ahead, we don't do that. And another thing I'm happy physical planning does is, if you reclaim, there's no way you're going to build on it. Physical planning will not process your planning approval until they get clearance from us. And of course, if you didn't get approval before you started to reclaim, it affects our indiscriminate dredging affects it goes hand in hand with indiscriminate illegal reclamation.
Right.
And of course, when you reclaim illegally, it affects the coastal. We had a meeting on Friday, I believe. Several ministries sat together and we decided that, listen, there's need for us to redefine an alignment so that we're able to effectively monitor that. And that's why we're saying, just like Blood Diamond, there's need to monitor sand from when it's dredged to when it gets to the end user. Of course, when you go after supply, it also affects, when you go after the demand, it also affects...
Do we export sand?
Not that I'm aware at the moment. But...
Okay, so just to put it in proper perspective, already existing beachfront operators, take, for example, these ones at the Elegushi, for instance, or the Beke,
yes.
For instance. So what happens? How does monitoring go on? What do you do to check them? Their excesses, especially their waste disposal arrangements that they have, and some of these abuses that you see, and extend it down the Ilashe and Ibeshi area as well. What exactly do you do to,
you would see that in some cases we've had to concession some beaches, and the reason is because dredging affects it in such a way that there's natural reclamation of the sand on those beaches to reclaim, to compensate for that has been taken out. And at the end of the day, the people that have the concessions would usually have to re-dredge to reclaim so that we have beaches for families and things. Now, some of the effect is to curb the effect, you now have to put in place what you call groins. Now, these groins, government bears the cost of groins, and a kilometer of groin is about 11 billion. The cost of 1 kilometer of groin is about 11 billion.
Oh, we have at the Burbage.
Yes, called the Great Wall and things like that. It keeps out the water. 1 kilometer of that works out close. Well, I would say 400 meters is about 400 and some thousand. And we're planning, Lagos State is planning to do, the intention to protect that, the coastal space is to run, I think, about 60 kilometers of groins from Lekki all the way down to Ekwe.
Okay, let me go on a quick break. When we come back, we continue this conversation. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your view will be right back.
Would there be any form of sensitizing the locals? Would there be any form of probably using jingles in local languages to just let them know the effects of dredging so that they can police for you? Because I know the summit is going to be very elaborate. We may likely be spending money to organize that sort of summit. But what can we do? How can we solve this problem locally first before we get to that level of having a summit with stakeholders?
We're definitely, we're hoping that we're able to have, it's a campaign, not just a jingle, not a one-off thing. It's a campaign. It's something that has to be continuous. We have to keep talking until we get the desired results. We're already in the process of doing that. We're also going to be engaging some people from the communities, of course, where they're able to reach out to us discreetly, so as not to have them hurt in any way. Okay. And that's why I said there's some plans that I wouldn't be able to disclose on television at the moment, you know.
All right, thank you very much, sir. We have to wrap up here, but thank you. I mean, congratulations on the work you're doing, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you so very much.
Okay, let's go on a quick break now. When we return, move on to other topics. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your view will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. Last week, the Speaker of the House unveiled 8-point legislative agenda of the 10th House with a pledge to partner with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on the successful implementation of the renewed hope agenda of the current administration. The 8-point agenda areas, according to the 126-page document unveiled, include strengthening good governance, improving national security, law reforms, economic growth and development, social sector reform and development, inclusion, and open parliament, and so many others. Now, join us on this morning is to speak on this is a spokesman for this 8-point agenda, House of Representatives, representing Mr. Akin, Honorable Akin Rotimi Jr. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me, Mariah, and good morning, viewers.
All right, so we have a copy of. Even went as far as making book. I was like, hey, these are lawmakers. But no problem, we've seen your book. Okay. So it's right here. So it says strengthening good governance. That number one, there are 8 of them.
Yes.
And but before we even go to the eighth agenda, why do you think this was necessary for you to come up with an 8-point agenda? Because many Nigerians already say, you are lawmakers. Your job is to make the law and supervise, to just supervise and make sure that you ensure that the reps actually do what they're supposed to do, oversight functions. That's your primary responsibility. Why was there a need for you to actually put together an 8-point agenda in addition to what you're supposed to be doing?
Thank you very much for having me. As you mentioned, yes, constitutionally, the role of the legislature, I like for people to remember, ROLE. 3 of them are mentioned in the Constitution: representation, R, oversight, O, L for legislation, and then in Nigerian creation, which is empowerment, because members are expected to be able to empower the people. And you'll find that the principal instruments that guide our work is, number 1, the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended. And then you have the House rules, right, which also guides the activities of members and everything that we do in Parliament. And then lastly, you have the legislative agenda, which is supposed to guide what we're going to do over the next 4 years. It's a reflection of the leadership at any point in time. So someone mentioned we've done that before. Yes, it happened since Dogara's tenure as Speaker, and every successive Speaker has had it since then. Tambuwal had it as well. You had also Right Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila also had the legislative agenda. And incidentally, the chairman of the ad hoc committee that produced the legislative agenda, who was Professor Julius Ihovere, was also the one that produced the 9th Assembly legislative agenda. Now, you say, why do we need it? Now, you have 360 members from different backgrounds, different professional backgrounds, different constituencies. Now, it's important that we have a guide, right, that would, in terms of all our legislative activities, to understand some framework within which everybody operates. So we understand that our bills and motions are trying to address certain issues. The legislative agenda also varies from assembly to assembly because it's a reflection of the context of what's going on in the country at this time. So when you talk about Nigeria at this point in time, you know that we're going through extremely difficult situation as a country. There are a lot of challenges that we have socioeconomically, and it's very, very important that the legislature is able to respond to these issues to put Nigeria on the path, to sustainable growth over time. So essentially, that's the idea behind the legislative agenda. It also helps even our partners to know the context within which we're functioning and operating. So it's better for collaboration.
Just for clarification, for me, this already sounds like I have many questions. But before then, just to clarify, this 8-point agenda, it's also a way to show like a collaboration or partnership and like validation for the renewed hope agenda of the current administration.
Yes.
And knowing that the legislature is made up of legislators from different parties, is this a partisan relationship, or is this something that is non-partisan and all parties, all legislators, regardless of their parties, are in line with this, this move and this agenda?
Very good question, very valid, especially because, in the 10th Assembly, we have a very diverse assembly. For the first time in the 4th Republic, we have 8 political parties represented in Parliament. And it's also interesting that you have a lot of new members, right? You have about 77% new members in the 10th Assembly. So it says that there's a new energy, there's a new drive, to be able to make things work in Nigeria as quickly as possible. So in terms of this multi-partisan document, yes, it's a multi-partisan document that was developed through a very, very extensive process of consultation. We had extensive consultation with media. We had extensive consultation with civil society. We actually had a session, right, where we had members of civil society to come and tell us what their priorities are. Most of which, form the basis of the legislative agenda. So, back to your point, for us, yes, we are very particular about robust executive legislature collaboration, but we're also very, very conscious of the fact that it's a multi-partisan house, and everybody's views, it was debated in the house, and views of people across, parties was taken into consideration.
Okay, so since every honorable is supposed to represent a constituency separate from each other, how do you determine whether a motion, a bill, anything, that is legislative brought by an honorable aligns with this 8-point agenda that, the speaker is pushing? How must an honorable design their duties to represent only their constituency to conform with these 8 points that you have?
Thank you very much. So, you know, for different, for example, I represent Ikole-Oye, the good people of Ekiti North 1 Federal Constituency, Ikole-Oye. We have, you know, extensive issues in terms of security, which we are currently dealing with. In my own constituency, this next weekend, we're going to have a security summit to be able to address some of our peculiar challenges. But you'll also understand that most of the challenges that affect individual constituencies is also within a broader context. So until we begin to unpack these issues, so for example, we have major constitutional issues that restrict the subnationals from taking the lead in security sector governance, in the security architecture, from allowing local government autonomy, you know, for them to be able to function better. Because in the spirit of subsidiarity, the principle of subsidiarity means those that are closest to the grassroots are supposed to take the lead in most of these issues that affect them. So you would see in the legislative agenda as well that there are proposals on how we're going to go about constitutional review, you know, to be able to address these issues on a broader scale. But of course, everybody approaching rules and business, because there's a committee on rules and business that's chaired by Representative Francis Waive from Delta. You know, you have to have at the back of your mind that we are operating within a framework. So it helps your bills progression, your motions progression better when you're able to show. We're not restricted in any way because they carry a mandate. They carry a mandate of their people, you know, but their people want answers anyways. And it's important that we're able to...
Okay, let's get a few questions. Go ahead.
Yes, so before we now go in and break down the 8 points agenda,
yes,
I know that we have never lacked laws, neither have we lacked good policies in the country. However, our problem has always been implementation. Now, is this document now, is it going to be binding? Can we hold you accountable based on this document?
This is just an FYI.
If peradventure you don't follow through what you have said?
Thank you.
And how do we hold you accountable with this document?
Thank you very much, Obiajulo. And very good question, because, you know, we came into the 10th Assembly inheriting very huge amounts of distrust, you know, from Nigerians generally about Parliament, a huge amount of, you know, cynicism. You know, I wanted to come and have that conversation.
We are going to have it.
Perhaps so, you know, but the point, again, is that we are very particular about addressing these issues because we found out that for many assemblies, many tenures, they never made that effort to be able to address these issues. And for us, you'll see central to the legislative agenda is communication, feedback, holding us accountable. And for the first time, you actually have a standing committee on the monitoring of the implementation of the legislative agenda. Right? So you actually have a committee that's set up to say, look, where are we? You'll find the legislative agenda as well. It's broken down into short, medium, and long-term objectives. So you can actually look at it and say, are we failing in this regard? And I dare tell you that some of the things that are in this legislative agenda have already started being implemented. So you'll see that the sectoral debates that we talked about, which is an avenue for us to be able to bring key members in the executive government to come and engage with us.
Is it binding? Because remember when we did confab, they said confab, the document they gave out is not binding. Because so is this, can I hold you accountable with documents?
You are going, and I expect that media, you play a very crucial role. We expect you to hold us to account. And that's why this document, that is why we're even having this conversation, because we want to let Nigerians know that crucial issues that would affect your lives over the next 4 years, and even for the future, fundamental issues that have been difficult, intractable, that we've not been able to confront. For the first time, you have a very, very activist Green Chamber that wants to take on these issues. So we need you to hold us to account to it, to make sure that we follow through.
Let me go on a very short break. When we come back, we'll start the conversation proper. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
right, thanks for staying with us. So as we said earlier, the 8-point agenda is really, really clear: strengthening good governance, improved national security, law reform, economic growth and development, social sector reform and development, inclusion and open parliament, climate change and environmental sustainability. So we'll come to that. But let me start with, I'm with this document, I saw page 36. And what caught my eyes immediately was members' welfare. It says the welfare of members is essential to ensure that they can effectively carry out their duties, serve their constituents, and contribute to the democratic process. Key welfare issues include, let me jump to number 4, provide funding for the design and construction of the National Assembly Hospital to provide comprehensive healthcare services to all arms of government. Now, does that mean you'll not be flying abroad? Number 1. Number 2, appropriate funding for the development of a health, recreational, and wellness center for members. Also, health is an issue for you guys because you definitely need 2 facilities. Support members in providing effective constituency services to address needs and concerns of their constituents and offer legal and financial counsel. So my question is, when you say members' welfare, how much welfare do you need to carry out your constitutional duties, especially with this health sector matter? Are you saying, because are you going to advise your members not to fly abroad if they have any issues and use their local medical facilities?
Thank you very much, Mariah. So, to be honest, you'll see central to the entire agenda is encouraging backward integration and encouraging development of, resources locally, to be able to, stabilize our economy and essentially address key issues. So for us, that is 100% commitment that we have, right? Me, on a personal note, even though I have access to other jurisdictions and all of that, most of the issues around healthcare are here in Nigeria. And we have very good hospitals. We have very, very good hospitals within Nigeria. There's no need for anybody to be able to say you're going abroad for treatment. I'll take, for example, some other areas within the legislative agenda that you'll find. Members are people that are extensively traveled, as you know, because they come from different backgrounds as well. When you go abroad and you see what's abroad, and you see how extensive their healthcare services are, the least you can do is to try to make sure that within Nigeria, you sort of replicate those things for the citizens. And that's why you'll find central to our agenda is increasing universal health coverage for Nigerians so that the NHIS is able to cover all Nigerians. We also have as a key objective being able to make amendments, necessary amendments to the National Health Act, right? Especially provisions around the Basic Health Care Provision Fund, so that it can access currently from 1% to at least 2%, right, of the consolidated revenue fund, so that at least we're able to meet the benchmark of 15% of the federal budget going to the healthcare sector. This is very important because, as you know, the majority of the pressures that members have from constituents, most of it is always around health. You have someone sick, you have someone
transplants.
It's just a whole lot. Every day you get all these issues. So it's also in the best interest of members that were able to create these key interventions.
Okay, so I saw my surname here, Agenda 8. That's climate change and environmental sustainability.
Right.
I am an advocate for that.
Okay.
And I just want to know what it means. You mentioned here about NESRA and support for them, upgrading them. But also, what does it mean for a simple advocate like me? I'm going around to schools talking about environmental sustainability, conservation. Right. What does this agenda mean for someone like me?
Right. So first of all, and I'm very happy that we can actually point to aspects of the agenda and have conversations. That is what we want to have. So first of all, we have a committee on the environment, right, that addresses, a lot of these issues. Number one, that this is a priority for the 10th Assembly. So that alone is a guide for you to know that, look, if you reach out either to the person of the Speaker or to the committee, or what I encourage everybody, if you ask Nigerians who agitate on governance, bad governance, reps are not doing anything, who is your representative? If you don't know, right, where do we start from? Okay. I would encourage you. What constituency are you from?
I live in Lagos.
You live in Lagos?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. What
Presently,
constituency?
constituency
Yes.
is vacant.
No, that. Oh,
Yes,
okay.
our speaker is...
Okay, yes. I know the election for that would hold, so that's Surulere.
Yes.
Yes, okay. So I would encourage that you get to know that person, right? There's always a functional constituency office where you can engage, right? And the House is also going to be a lot more proactive in, all the commemorative days, UN observances.
Yes.
There's a lot of activities that we're going to be, having around those. So for me, it is knowing, look at the provisions in this agenda, familiarize yourself with it. There are going to be public hearings, when we have, some bills and motions in this respect. There'll be public hearings.
Right.
It's open access for you to be able to attend. So I think that what is even more important, and I like the way that you brought it down to a deeply personal level, because we all have to take ownership for moving our country forward. We need to understand that it depends on you. All too often we have a situation where people think, oh, this guy's in governance, this guy's in governance. What are you doing to hold us to account? Have you written a letter that was unreplied? Have you tried to engage and nothing was done? Have you brought something to their attention?
To that point,
Yes, please.
won't the House Committee on Environment and whatever their brief is, sustainability,
Yes.
be involved in every law and every business of the executive that would affect our environment? For instance, all the time when we take the stories from the Minister for Mines and Steel, mineral resources, I think was Alake's ministry again.
Yes.
And
Ministry of Mines and
we take that on the table here. We take trade and export. We wonder who is talking about how these mines and all these minerals they talk about, how it's going to affect our environment in the House. So you'd expect that the House Committee has a member involved in all of these businesses as they go, so that whatever sections must provide for that is covered. We don't want to turn to Congo here.
Right.
We don't want to get to the point where they are there now. And we know that we are bringing in foreign investors. They're constantly coming in, going to Kwara, going to Katsina, looking at uranium and all of those minerals that we have. So we don't need to visit a constituency office. I would like to see that the House Committee is seriously involved.
And you're absolutely correct, Nima, especially your point about sustainability in the mining sector. Incidentally, I used to be special advisor to the Minister of Mines and Steel Development. I served in that capacity for about 3.5 years. So I'm quite conversant with issues around that. And you'll see that central to this legislative agenda, right, is sustainability.
Yeah.
To ensure that whatever we're doing, the environment is also taken into consideration. We had, just before, even though this is at a subnational level, just before I came on, Honorable Commissioner Ali Bioshu that came on and spoke about, ensuring that even in sand dredging and all of that, that you have periods where people are given licenses to be able to extract these resources and also make sure that there's time for them, for the environment to also be able to regenerate. Yes, so that's very central. But more importantly, I think, is around beneficiation, making sure that we are not just producing, these minerals and exporting them the way they are, because the real value is when there's value addition. Yes, where we're actually, taking it up a notch, exactly, by, bringing it as much to a finished state as much as possible. So for us, that's what's important. And I think that my kinsman, respected kinsman, Honorable Minister Dele Alake, is very keen about that, addressing issues around mining sector, government.
Legal backing.
Yes, and that for us as well. You'll see that about 2 weeks ago or so, you had Honorable Gaza, right, who is the chairman of the House Committee on Solid Minerals. There's been some legislation, areas of the Act, the Mining Act, to be able to address those issues, and also to be able to take on other issues. Yeah.
Yes. So Agenda 1, strengthening good governance.
Yes.
There's something very important here. So it says the rule of law is a fundamental principle of good governance, and it plays a crucial role in ensuring a just and equitable society. Now, stepping down, it says the 10th House of Representatives is committed to ensuring that all individuals, institutions, and entities, including the government, are accountable to and governed by laws that are applied consistently and fairly. We saw over the years where both individuals, politicians, organizations, everybody somewhat flouts the rule of law. You call for a meeting, you call someone to come and appear, and then they don't appear and nothing is done. What is the plan right now on the side of the legislatures to hold the people accountable, or to enforce that when you call them to appear for probably questioning, to answer whatever has happened, that they appear, and if they don't, a form of repercussion will be given to them?
Thank you very much. And you'll see from recent engagements in the House, you know, I mentioned that we're supposed to kick off the sectoral debates. And you'll see that when invited the service chiefs to come and dialogue with us. Sections 88 and 89 of the Constitution empowers us to be able to invite anybody. And they sent representatives because we understand that they're extremely busy. But we insisted that we're not going to have any representation for such high-level engagement, that we insisted that they had to come in by themselves. So it's been rescheduled, and within this week, the sectoral debate on the security sector would hold. But that was an important precedent for us to be able to lay, that we're not going to accept anyone trivializing, you know, invitations from the House, because we carry the mandate of the people. It's not just us. Everything that we're doing is based on the agitations of our people. Almost every plenary day, there's one security-related motion or the other. So if it's important to our constituents, then it should be important to those that we've been asked to engage. So for us as well, and you also talked about a culture of, you know, equality, and the fact that, I mean, society is totally broken when nobody can go to the legislature and get redress on issues. And that for us is very important. You also see central to our agenda is legal law reforms, to be able to ensure that key aspects of the law we're able to, you know, amend key aspects of it to make dispensation of justice, access to justice for everybody a lot more, you know, possible. And then lastly is the point about, you mentioned issues of even disobedience of court orders that you find. Yeah. And there was that debate relating to the recent NLC strike and how that there was a standing court order restraining the strike. So overall, you know, we want to encourage all parties, all stakeholders in the Nigeria project. It's very important, even down to the little girl or the woman that is abused in our house on domestic matters, and she gets to you know, institutions supposed to give her justice, either the police or, you know, or the law courts, and then you find the pressure that people put on such people. Okay. To excuse them from the formal justice systems, to say, don't worry, it's a family matter. It's important that we're able to make the courts, you know, active enough to be able to address issues.
Let me go on a quick break. When we come back, we continue with our conversation. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. All right, so I was a bit worried that I didn't see much on media, broadcasting, even entertainment industry. I was going to come to Agenda 6 that spoke on inclusion and open parliament. And what struck me there is the open parliament and citizen engagement. This is extremely crucial, especially because we have a very divided populace. You know, many Nigerians are divided on different either religious, tribal, ethnic grounds, and there's a need to bring us back together as Nigerians. And that would only happen through proper engagement of the public and where there's an open parliament with you, where we hear what you're saying, you're talking to us, engaging. But how do you plan to engage us, Nigerian citizens? Because many of us don't trust you. What we hear, you buy cars, especially when the president is saying renewed hope, let's tighten our belts. Lawmakers are buying cars, and we're thinking, are they aligned? And so the perception we have of you is different from what you're showing us. So we're thinking, okay, how do you plan to bring us back together as a nation to trust you? Or in other words, how do you buy back our trust?
Thank you very much. So there are different approaches to it. So first of all, when you look through the entire document, you'll see very central to it is media and communications engagement with Parliament. And also central to that is proactive engagement and disclosure, so that we can tell Nigerians as much as possible what we're doing, so that you can actually follow legislative issues and progression. So, for example, you can follow progression of bills that are in your interest in environment, climate, and all of that. So for us, that's very important. And then secondly is also ensuring that in a short while that all constituency offices, right, of legislators are up and running and active and become the points through which Nigerians can engage, because not everybody is going to be able to get on a bus or on a flight to get into Abuja, but the constituencies are very important. So you actually have a committee, right, on constituency outreach, which is, you know, empaneled to be able to enforce, right, that we have operational constituency offices across the board. So that is the touch point. That is the touch point through which you can approach your legislator. I have a petition, right, and you actually hear the petition on the floor of the House, and you actually see progression on it and actually get results. So all through making our order papers for, you know, whoever is interested, there are avenues through which you can get our order papers, our notice papers, votes and proceedings, handsets of the House. Yes, I know that right now the National Assembly's website is being reworked, and very soon, you know, because there's been a huge turnover, especially in the courts. I think it's been a whole lot. So right now that most of the cases have been disposed of, right, we're going to see the website up and running. But aside of that, not everybody is going to be able to access the website. We want a situation where people can approach constituency offices of members and be able to get answers and also be able to share their agitations. So for us, it's a general disposition about being a lot more proactive about issues.
Sorry to
Yes.
cut you, and I'm sorry to just add something to that. So I am a Nigerian citizen.
Yes.
I open the news and I see lawmakers about to buy a car, 160 million, and I don't like it. I write a petition, right? I take it to my constituency. I live in Koshofe.
Yes.
I write a letter, I take it there. Now, would my lawmaker therefore take that to Abuja and debate it? Now imagine all other concerned citizens like me do the same thing across the country, and it comes to the House that our people say we shouldn't buy this car, or they're suggesting we should use Innocent, or they're suggesting we should use a smaller Camry or something, whatever it is. Would it be discussed, or would you, by preference, choose what you think should be discussed or not discussed?
So I'll tell you that every single matter that is brought before the House by way of public petition, it is mandatory, right, that it is referred to the Standing House Committee on Public Petitions. And it is chaired by Honorable Mike Etaba, right, and he has a whole, I'm also on that committee as well, because it's important, and I have raised a few public petitions, and I've followed some of them through up until this point. You see, like I said, there's been that amount of distrust. And, you know, many people have really just given up on this whole, oh, yeah, you know, it's all the bad stories, oh, this can never work, this can never work. Let us start putting our institutions to the test. Let us start testing these issues. Let us start engaging. We have made solemn vows to Nigerians. We've not only taken that, we've taken a step further to document it and say, hold us to account, right, on this. So I think that Nigerians, you know, again, Mariah, just before you move on the next point, Nigerians need to get used to the idea of a legislature being a people's house. It's that arm of the government that can, you know, they're supposed to be closest to the people, if you understand what I mean. For many years, you had the military incursion in government. And for many years, the arm of government that has suffered the most has been the legislature. That's outrightly suspended. So Nigerians have not been used to the idea of having a legislature. That's why it's like, oh, what are they even doing? And we have a series that we're starting soon, and it's actually going to be called Waiting Legislators, Waiting Reps They Do Serve. So exactly, let us echo the minds of Nigerians on this. What are really these guys really up to?
Yes. Can I just ask a bit?
Just to what's ahead.
Yes.
Okay.
So the question now is, just so that we know, they have given us code. It's not enough now to just rant.
Yes.
It's not enough to just be talking on social media, on TV.
Thank you
As long
very
as we have a petition, once that petition gets to you, you must discuss it.
Absolutely.
What makes it a valid petition? Because you know how it is. You have a few people, a few hundreds, or does it have to be signed by tens of hundreds? What makes it a valid petition to get to you and be debated?
So any citizen, right, can write a petition to the House. Any citizen.
Single person.
Yes, it can be sent as an individual, right, or it can be sent as a group. As long as it is signed and you have the person's details, for feedback and all of that, and it can be sent to your constituency office. You don't even need to come back. No. It's not, no. The legislature is actually where you get reprieve. And you'll see that many of the public petitions, and we're going to be sharing the detail. I think one issue we've not had in the past has been sharing those success stories. So people that have been wrongfully terminated, those that have been arrested. There was a petition just last week about wrongful arrest and detention, right? And these are the issues that when you see those petitions and you see the outcomes of them, and I think quite commendably for the House Committee on Public Petitions, you would understand the role, right, of the legislature in being able to bring redress for Nigerians. But like I said earlier, the challenge the parliament has had for many years has been not addressing these misconceptions, not communicating enough about our success stories.
Clearly what you've said about, individual petitions, people coming before the House to pray the House to address certain issues.
Yes.
But we are mothers, we are children of the same mother.
Yes.
And you do.
Right.
And if I was crying outside, baby, I say, just fast for Monday and Thursday, as the Prophet Sallallahu has said. Should I see you tearing chicken on Monday evening while I'm still fasting, I have not drink Gary?
Yep.
The question is about the cars.
Yes.
Can the House unanimously agree? Is it even possible in this my wildest dreams that the House will unanimously agree and say, oh, we have a right to those cars, but we don't think it's economically right at this time?
At this time,
So, like I said, I attempted to reach you, you remember, because I did quite a media tour then on the issue of the vehicles. I wish we had a whole session to be able to address these issues because a lot of things need to be deconstructed, so we'll understand. But to answer your question directly, this is a procurement that had happened since the first quarter of the year. I've explained that procurements for issues relating to members resuming in a new assembly are typically resolved by the bureaucracy of the National Assembly in the preceding year to the resumption of a new assembly. So these are conversations that it's important that you have because, now.
That's especially of 2027.
It is very important, but not even just for 2027. I pointed out in some of my media engagement that there's a national automotive policy that came in force May 23rd, right, this year. Now, that automotive policy is very clear about some objectives that we have, about encouraging local producers of vehicles. Now, again, when you say, oh, the legislature, this is the amount, this is the number, but it's not just us. People think it's a thing of, oh, it's not just everybody's doing it and we feel entitled. That's not what it's about. But I'm pointing you in the direction that in the executive, you have 550 ministries, departments, and agencies. You have 2,000 boards. Now the budget, the appropriation bill for the 2024 budget is coming to the House anytime soon. We're expecting it from the executive. Look at every line item where you're going to have vehicles. It is the duty of both the legislature and also media and civil society partners to ensure that we hold the executive to account.
And we start holding them on time.
It's not only you, it's also the executive.
Again, let us make this clear that it's not a thing about Me Too and everybody else. But I'm pointing you in the direction of change. And I've also told you that in terms of accountability, when you have these conversations about, oh, why do members take away the vehicles? Why don't they? Why do you wait until the vehicles have been taken away?
Let's agree that this is a procurement issue and it has been done before the House sitting.
But wait.
Can this House say, let it not be done again?
Because you're trying to buy back trust, remember?
It's not everything we must carry fight. So,
like I've said.
If we see the House just doing what they need to do.
Yes.
Okay, these cars have already been bought and you come out because now you want to have, in this interaction with the people.
Yes.
And say, oh, we didn't have a hand, but we could not have said no. It has already been done. Can you say next time we put in laws to ensure that this doesn't go forth? Continue.
So I wouldn't rule out legislative action in terms of this to actually reinforce the provisions of the national automotive policy which is in place by the executive. So the executive themselves have created that policy. There's a continuum in government.
Local.
Exactly. So even though it's a preceding administration that put it in place, but it's extant, and it's for us to then say, look, how many of these ministries, departments, and agencies, right, that are going to buy hundreds, maybe thousands of vehicles in 2024? Don't go on sleep. Don't go to sleep on that. The same energy we've used for the legislature, which is important, and I'm happy.
I agree.
Okay,
That's
so let me
the
ask
point.
something.
Because again,
is it
yes.
that? So my idea of anybody who's leading, whether you're a legislature or or you're an executive, is that you put the interest of the people first.
100%.
Do you sit back and wait, looking at the economic terrain, till the people agitate for something before you decide that at this moment this is not the right way to go? Can we pause on this? Do we have to be the ones to remind you that we are actually tightening our belts, or can you use your discretion as a leader who cares more for the people than for the position to say, at this point, we're not moving forward with this. Let's spend it till the economy gets better?
You are absolutely correct, Obiajulu. And I think that it is not even a matter of discretion. It is a matter of your duty, right, to be able to do these things. You'd see that when the issue of vehicles broke, you talk about being responsive. It broke on social media on one Sunday morning. Before 1 o'clock, you had a statement out, right? And probably the reason the conversation extended that much in media is because we were very upfront about the issues.
Yeah.
We told you in plain details all the issues, and we told you areas in which you should look. So for us, again, we have our duties as legislators to be able to carry out our oversight functions of the executive. But again, an active citizenry, right, an active media is essential to hold us to account. Every single minute that we spend in that office, lives literally depend on it, and it's important that we are held to account. So that's what I'm saying. I'm not abdicating, right, responsibility, our duties. I'm saying that we need you to also hold us to account. So when we are working, civil society, media is working, then
all right. So
all stakeholders.
there's something, we have a grouse from 9th Assembly.
Okay.
And this is about the Gender Equal Opportunity Bill.
Yes.
So I see part of the agenda this time around is we are going to have inclusion, and then there's the women's political representation participation. So what does that mean for that particular bill in the 10th Assembly? Has it been presented again, and will we see a different outcome?
Thank you. So leading the Committee on Women Affairs and Social Development is your host representative for your location here, Honorable Kafilat Obara. And she's working extensively, because you'll find that what happened in the 9th Assembly, right, was that there wasn't a lot of sensitization, right, about the issues, yes, before those bills were presented. Because when people just have the perception, especially even lawmakers, that, oh, these bills is just about women, you want to subjugate men, we need to break it down and make people understand these issues. And people have pressures, not just from their own individual proclivities, but they have traditional institutions, they have stakeholders they report to back home. They'll say, look, oh, I'm hearing that this bill is... In fact, the attendance in plenary that day was overwhelming, because everybody wanted to have a say, on such matters. So it's important that there's a lot more advocacy and engagement on these issues. And you'll find in our legislative agenda that it's central to it. To be able to say, we are even taking things a notch further, to say that, look, can we have constitutional amendments to allow for special seats for women? Because just to be able to resolve the historical inequality for a period where you have special seats for women.
We have to go because we're running out of time, but there's one last question I must ask you, and this is just your personal opinion. Do you feel that we can actually have a united house, especially because you're so different? I mean, we've seen it, and it's related to Mariam's story. There's always issues of the religious differences, ethnic differences, zonal differences, issues of even domestic local policing, issue of what's that one, resource control. There are so many.
Yes.
How do you all, are you all in agreement with this document? Have you all read it? And that everybody from different parts of the country understand what exactly you plan to do? Are you in agreement? Because we're really worried that the House is seemingly divided on some critical issues when it comes to women, young people, resource control, policing, state policing, and independence of the local government's autonomy across the nation.
So I'll tell you, The House is very united. I don't see any reason why Nigerians would believe that the House is divided in any way. Yes, I talked about the diversity, but that's actually the strength of it. And importantly is that we have an experienced and visionary leader in the person of Right Honorable Abbas Tajuddin and Right Honorable Benjamin Kalu at the leadership. You have also the House leader, right, Professor Julius Inhofe, that bring the maturity to bear in all the things that are done. And of course, all the principal, officers of parliament. But aside of that is that when you put in place a consultative process for arriving at decisions, it's hard for anybody to do. This was debated extensively, right? And members had input in being able to put this together. Yes, there is a diversity, but that diversity is actually our strength.
Okay. All right, we have to go. And I like the People's House. Nice.
Yeah. That is what we want to be known as.
I like the People's House.
Exactly. That's what I want to encourage everyone. Yes, you can download it.
Is it free?
Read it. It's free. For number one, it's free to download it. And if anybody wants, if any of your viewers reach out to you, I'm happy to make some copies available.
But on the market, you pay.
Oh, no, it's totally free. You're not going to pay for it.
So nobody should pay for it.
You have a right.
Book, we can just go to this page.
The People's House.
You said this and this.
On page.
Don't worry.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Never leave out.
We have created our marking scheme.
Never leave out your view.
And published it.
We have
to go. That's all we can take. Don't worry. Mondays, every morning we look at it.
Yes, I'll be happy to engage anytime.
All right, that is all we can take on today's show. Hope you learned a few things as we have. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.